Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today we're gonna do another kind of trying a celebrity's makeup tips. So I recently watched a video from Vogue. It was with Candice Swanepoel. I think I'm saying her last name right. So I literally have my notes. I watched the video a couple times through, and the last time I watched it, I really took some extensive notes on the kind of tips that I thought were really interesting I wanted to try, but I'm gonna try to do my makeup exactly as she did it in that video. Now, I'm not using the exact product she used because honestly, most of the time she didn't mention like the brand or the whatever. But on top of that, I really wanted to utilize what I have, but just trying these new tips and techniques. So I have done a video like this before with Zendaya, and there are a couple tips that I learned from her video that I still use. Like, I did that video maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, and I have been using a lot of the tips from that video every single day since then. So I'm so excited to try these to see if I discover any other new tips. Let's get into it. So if you didn't know, by the way, Candice is like a Victoria's Secret angel. I know she's had at least one kid, but anyway, she's just so gorgeous. And so I was kind of giggling because she's talking about like doing makeup. And I feel like she's one of those people, even when she's without makeup, she is so freaking gorgeous. So she starts with the face oil. I'm gonna use the Maelove Pure Marula oil. And her whole thought process behind this was, it was kind of like a beached, kind of bronzy glow. She adds some fake freckles at the end, which I think is interesting. I guess I'll try. I have freckles and plenty of them, so I don't feel like I need to do that, but I figure, well, I've never done it. I might as well give it a try. But I kind of did laugh because I thought, you know, as someone with freckles, I end up covering a lot of them with what I put on. And so the idea of adding them back in is just kind of funny to me. I don't know why, but it is cute. I mean, I get it. If you don't have freckles and you like that look, I totally get it. So, love this stuff. Marula oil is better for drier skin. It's a little bit more hydrating. Argan oil would be good for you if you have more oily skin, but you still want to use oils. So the next thing she does on my list, she puts on a liquid bronzer. She doesn't say what she's using. I grabbed the Drunk Elephant Bronzi Anti-Pollution Sunshine Serum. This you can mix with things. She just put it straight up on her face. I do have self-tanner on, and she definitely was bronzy from the neck down, and her face is a lot lighter. So I figured that's like the chunk. I haven't used this in a while, so there was like that little chunk. She said it looks crazy at first, but once it's kind of blended in, it looks a lot better. So we're just gonna see. I don't know, guys. Oh boy. I like this product though because it has like good ingredients in it. Well, it definitely looks like I got some sun. I want to laugh at myself, but at the same time, in the times in my life that I've gotten sun, this is what it looks like. So it's not that crazy. It's just bizarre for me to see myself with like a tan face. It just is. So I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute and then come back. So it's sunk in, it looks a little bit better, but again, we're gonna be putting some coverage on top. So she says she likes to spray like some kind of blender with, I think she uses like rose water mist. I'm just gonna use my L'Oreal Shake and Glow Dew Mist. I love this stuff. This was already moist though. I never feel like it gets moist enough if I'm just spraying it with something. I feel like I still need to get it like wet. But I do like that trick. That's a trick I've used before for my under eye, spraying it with like MAC Fix Plus or the Tatcha Dewy Mist or this. Spraying that and then blending your concealer in with it looks really, really pretty. If you've never tried it, you definitely should. So she was taking a really high coverage, like concealery base foundation-y product. I grabbed this Hourglass Vanish foundation stick, and I'm just gonna get a bunch on my hand. This is in the shade Shell. It's not gonna be like perfect today. I had an old one that was a different shade and I got rid of, but this is actually a new one. But she mixed it with her face oil. So I'm gonna put like one drop because I'm a little nervous. That's nice. So it really does make it, I've never done that with like a stick. But anyway, then she takes the product and just kind of that's really pretty, and starts just applying it to her face. That's really, really pretty. I know the lighting's bizarre because it's a rainy day yet again. It's been rainy for like my entire life, I feel like. I'm gonna put another just singular drop in, just kind of mix it on my hand. I feel like I shouldn't waste that excess. This is just so flawless. I can't get over this. I did not think it would look that nice. Not that it would look bad, but like, it's like the perfect light layer of coverage, you know? where it still looks like skin. It's definitely dewy because you're mixing it with an oil. She does use powder, thank goodness. My last video I put up was my May faves, and my face was so oily because I was trying out a different oil. And as I was editing those clips, I was like, oh my gosh, my face is so oily. So I'm excited to powder this down really well today because it definitely needs it. I just like messed it up. It just landed on my little Princess Tiana coffee cup. That's way too much. We can't use that. I'm ecstatic about that. So if you have like a stick foundation that you feel like it's just too dry, and I don't feel like the Hourglass foundation is that dry, but if you do tend to have drier skin like I do, I feel like most of the year it's just a little bit too much. This is one of the best I've ever tried though. There's no doubt about that. That looks nice. I am pumped about that. So she set everything with the powder. I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury, what is this? The Flawless Finish powder. It's one of my favorites. That definitely sets things down nicely. She put on a cream blush with her fingers. She kind of goes in an interesting order. And I think it was just because she was just filming and it was kind of off the cuff. So like she would do her blush now and then like towards the end she'd put more blush on the same blush. So, which I do sometimes anyway, but it was just interesting. So I'm using this CYO blush. It's like $5 at Walgreens. The Cream and Shadow Blush. The shade is called Only Words. This has a lot of pigment to it, so I have to kind of be careful. But she just kind of applied a little bit. I'm trying to tap a bunch off so it doesn't just look like a clown straight off. But this is a little bit drier of a formula. So I feel like it stays in place really well throughout the day. It's almost like a cream to powder in a way. It's really nice. Okay, later, she puts on lip balm later. I need to put it on now because my lips feel dry. This is the Laneige Lip Glowy Balm. I don't think it's technically like I guess it is kind of a balm. I love it though. It's never dried my lips out. It's like the easiest thing. I have the one in Pear in my purse and I use this every single day, multiple times a day. Oh. This was the other thing she did that was so interesting. She took the cream blush she used and she put it on her lids. I'm so excited. She was just talking, it was a really light wash, but she was just talking about how, she's like, I just feel like it kind of gives life to your eyes up there. It's so easy if you're already applying it, you know, with your fingers to just quickly tap a little bit up there. And I was like, what? Like I've never, ever thought to use a cream blush on my eyes. So figure we would do a little bit up there. I think she tapped a little bit on her nose and she was talking about how it adds like kind of a sun-kissed look, like a naturally sun-kissed look. Oh yeah, that's looking sun-kissed. I feel like I shouldn't add anything pink or red to my nose because my nose is naturally red. So we're gonna see. So then she tapped some concealer on, what is she? Oh, her under eye and like her chin and just little spots. I'm gonna use, I feel like I could go in with that same Hourglass product because it really is. It does have quite a concealing property to it. But I'm also really loving this Marc Jacobs Accomplice concealer and I just want to use it. But you could totally go in with your cream. So I'm just going to kind of tap a little bit on the under eye, brighten that area. Honestly though, the rest of that face product we used covered so well. I didn't feel like a huge need for tons of concealer at all. So this is what was interesting to me. She curled her lashes now. But then she like did some other stuff. You'll see what I mean. The order of this was interesting. Okay, lashes are curled. Brow pencil. So I have my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I'm gonna try this out. I mean, I've tried this a lot. I really like this, but sometimes it can look a little harsh on me. So I might go in with another product here in a second, but we're just gonna see how it looks. I usually am mixing this with like my Anastasia Dip Brow, like putting that on first and then kind of defining with this. So we're gonna see. It's been a while since I've used it just the way it is. Maybe it wasn't that this was so harsh, it's more that it's so cool toned. All right, we're gonna move on. They're not perfect, but that's what they're gonna be like right now. But moving along, so then she did her mascara. So I'm gonna use my favorite, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. And then she goes in a little bit with some more eyeshadow and liner. But here we go. It's pretty rare that I put on just mascara with no like liner of any kind, like even if it's like a shadow liner or you know, shadow of any kind. It's very rare actually. But she was mentioning that she really focuses at the root, kind of wiggles it at the base to give it that really fanned out look. So mascara is done. The next thing she did, and actually this will be good, she was mentioning that one of her favorite tips, I have literally brought in a singular Q-tip for this, is to take a Q-tip into your concealer. And again, you could probably do it into your stick foundation too, whichever you're using. And use that little bit to fix any areas where you maybe got mascara. And this will help prevent, you know, if you use like a makeup remover or something like that, you're also gonna have to replace the makeup anyway. So she was kind of just talking about, you know, if you go in with the concealer, it would fix it without removing. Added maybe a little too much, but it worked. I'd say that definitely works. You might have to blend that concealer in a little bit, you know, depending on how much you get on your Q-tip, but that cleaned it up. Another interesting thing. Now this was more because she had blue eyes that she was choosing this color, but I figured I would try this color anyway, even though I have like brownish kind of hazel eyes, is she took a mauve shadow and she used that like in a million areas on her face. So the first thing she did was she had like a singular MAC shadow. This is in this new Essence Salut Paris eyeshadow palette, but it's so similar to what she was using. I figured that's perfect. But she got a little bit on a brush and she focused it on she kept calling it contouring her eye, which that's exactly what you're doing really by creating that shadow. I feel like this is a little bit more pigmented than the one she was using, which is interesting because this is way cheaper than a MAC shadow. She was talking about how, you know, this kind of color really makes her eyes pop, and it really did, but I think it looks nice with brown or like green eyes too, don't you think? So she did that, and I'm kind of letting it kind of come out a little bit, just be a little bit more undone. She used a little bit underneath the eyes to define under there. I do not hate this. I kind of think it looks nice. So then she put on her lip balm, which I already did, and then with that same shadow, she like contoured her face. It was so bizarre and so interesting, and I cannot wait to try this. It might look crazy, but I am gonna tap a lot of it off, and she was kind of focusing it back here. That works. I mean, it's definitely a mauve shade. There's no getting around that. But then she kind of put it a little bit up here, and then she also used it under here. I mean, that worked. And then she got just a little bit and did like the sides of her nose, which I thought was very interesting. I don't know that I love that on the nose. I might have to go over that, we'll see. But I mean, using it it was almost like using it more as a blush, but you're just kind of putting it in those kind of more contour areas because it's definitely more of a blush shade, but I don't think it looks bad. I'm kind of like, So then she used a bronzer. She used the Hoola bronzer. I'm actually gonna use this is like the Smashbox Cali Contour Kit. I'm gonna use this shade here. I don't love this, but I keep giving it a try because a lot of you guys do love it. But she was really, this is gonna be scary, but she was using a way denser brush than I would ever usually use. So I'm gonna tap a little bit off. This is a Sonia Kashuk brush. She definitely looked bronzy by the end though, so I mean, there's no doubt about that. This is the Sonia Kashuk Flat Top Foundation brush. So then she put on a lip stain to kind of serve almost as a primer for your lips, which I thought was so interesting. But I liked the idea of this, that, you know, as your lip product that you're gonna put on top of this starts to wear away, you still have that kind of base layer of a stain. This is the Too Cool for School Glossy Blaster Tint. It's just kind of like this tinted color. It's really nice. This is very new to me. I'm still trying it out. So then she took a potted highlighter. I'm gonna use one of my favorites, the RMS Beauty Living Luminizer. I feel like she was using this, but it was maybe the Master Mixer shade. There's a couple of shades. This is a very dewy glossy though, so she could go a little heavy-handed with the shade she was using. This one can get a little, not overpowering, but if you do too much, it can. So I'm just gonna put it on my brow bone, which is where she put it, on my cheekbone. It's such a pretty, no fuss kind of a product. It's expensive, but it's gonna last you forever. She put it on her Cupid's bow. And then she also added it to her eyelid here, which looked so pretty. And I like to add a little bit up here, like just above. You know when you see that dewy look on someone? I love when it's like dewy right above the inside of the brows there. I feel like that looks so lovely. So this was very interesting. We're gonna try it with the stuff I have. I don't know if it's gonna work very well or not. Let me see if I have a better brush. This might work. So she took a brown liner. I have this Hourglass 1.5 millimeter, but it's the brown shade, so it's called Canon. This is the only brown liner I have. And she took a brush and kind of got the liner off. Oh, I knew this wouldn't work. But I love the idea of this, just kind of lining your eyes. Oh. The tip she gave is that she likes to start just at the middle of her eye and out. I remember learning that in makeup class long ago, how that can make your eyes look a lot bigger because you're not closing it in on the inside. It just kind of opens your eye up. She had just a little baby wing. This is a retractable liner, is not the right kind of liner to do this with though. She was using like a kohl eyeliner or, you know, something that you sharpen, and it worked really, really well. So I'm very intrigued. I want to go buy one and then try it that way. I just didn't have the time today. But I feel like brown liner is kind of forgotten about a lot. Like, it's not one of those, not by everyone. I know a lot of you guys probably use it. But I feel like for me, I have always used black liner. Like, I don't think there was ever a time I used brown. But there is something to be said about just the nice, like, slightly lighter color. It's a little less harsh. I feel like my face is really, really greasy. I know we're gonna powder in a minute, which is good because it's a lot. I think this would have worked just fine for me without putting the oil on underneath and just mixing the oil with that cream foundation. I think doing both is like too much. I did notice her take her liner and kind of go in to tight line just a bit at the very end. You can see her on camera doing that. Then, so she used a NARS lip pencil. I'm using my favorite, which is the shade Exbury, and I really like, this is the Satin lip pencil. And I'm gonna kind of want to get some of that oil down on my lips because it's a lot. But she went in with a like kind of almost, this is probably a better choice, like a eyeshadow brush that was like really fluffy, fluffier than I would have guessed. This is a Milani one that came in like a little essentials eye kit. It was like a pack of 3. It doesn't have a name for it. But again, she got the color off of this and just kind of started painting it on her lips. And I was like, ooh. She was talking about, you know, getting it up in your Cupid's bow just a little bit to make your lips look a little bit more defined. Isn't this color so pretty? If you have more pigmented lips, you'd like this. I think anyone would like it, but it's gonna be a little bit harsher on you if your lips are a lot lighter, but it's so pretty. But it looks really pretty diffused like this. This is something I would never think to do, and a kind of brush I would never think to use. So then at the very end, she grabbed a lip liner and kind of defined a little bit more. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Supersize Me. That's the shade. I did a lip declutter recently. You haven't seen it yet because it's not up. I literally got rid of like all my lip liners, but like 2. It's very exciting. This was one that I kept. Oh. She then went in with like kind of like her potted highlighter, but I think it might have been a different product, and just kind of tapped a little bit on the center of her lips. I think she even put a little bit up here just to kind of make it look even poutier. Almost. So one thing I don't have is a triangle, like a standard white cosmetic wedge. Remember those? Those are useful, but I don't own any because I haven't used them in years. But she used it to get a little bit of powder on to set the under eyes. So instead of that, I grabbed a dry little sponge. I wanted it to be dry because I think her wedge was dry, and that was kind of probably one of the bigger parts of it. And then she used that to set her under eye down. So she grabbed that powder she used before. I think hers was a MAC one, and just kind of tapped that in. I liked the idea of doing it this way because I feel like it's a little bit different than baking because you're not putting a huge layer on, but I like that this is dry, whichever route you go, because I feel like it's also soaking up a little bit of that oil while depositing that powder. I think that's really, really nice. I'm gonna take a little bit more to tap my T-zone because I just feel like it's just a wee bit too greasy. Is that looking better? Yeah, that looks a lot better. So then she went in and added more blush. The same, because again, it kind of gets worn down as you're applying more products on top in the order that we went in. And if it ever gets heavy-handed, I would just grab the sponge I actually applied the foundation with and just kind of tap on top. So the last thing she did was add some fake freckles. I'm actually going to go in with my brow pencil. That might have been what she was using. I know it was like a taupe color. And she literally just kind of lightly dotted them on. You don't want like a crazy pigmented pencil, but then she just kind of tapped it in. They look like my freckles, you know? So you can kind of see a few of them. Interesting. And there we go, the brown-haired version of Candice. I figured you might want to see it in natural lighting, so I've like moved like right by the other window in this same office, just so you can kind of get an idea of how it all looks together. I really do feel like the skin looks natural, you know what I mean? And like the eyes, I just love that mauve shadow. I put a little bit, I feel like I need a little bit more concealer on the inner part of my eye maybe. That doesn't look terrible. But I really like the lips. I feel like they look so pouty and nice. And yeah, just everything came together. And really, if I weren't like explaining every step of the way, this would not have taken me longer than like 10 or 15 minutes. It was not a super difficult look. Frankly, the thing that took me the longest was the brows. But anyway, 2 thumbs up. I am very excited to try some of these tips again. I will say this, I think the tips that I am the most excited to try more that I'd never done was mixing a cream or stick foundation with an oil. But like I said, I want to do it over something that is not also an oil because I think that's too much. And that's coming from someone that does have like more normal to dry skin. So, but I'm really excited to do that some more because I think that ended up looking so beautiful and like it doesn't look crazy makeup-y by any means, but it's just pretty. I really like that mauve shadow on my eyes. I think it looks almost as though there's nothing there, which I love. You know what I mean? I just feel like it was so simple, it was so quick. And then like she could use it on other parts of her face, which was interesting. I don't think I'm dying to put that mauve eyeshadow all over my face every single day, but it certainly works. So if you're in a pinch or you can only pack a couple things, whatever the reasoning might be, it's definitely doable. And I don't think it looked bad at all. Another thing I enjoyed, but I would have to have the time, is to grab like that fluffier eyeshadow brush and just kind of fluff on your lip color. You could do that with a regular lipstick too. It doesn't have to be like a NARS lip pencil, but I feel like it just made everything look really soft and just kind of like a pretty wash of color. It was really, really simple. And I also do want to start incorporating again, starting the liner only from the middle of your eye out, from the biggest part of your eye out. I do think that's pretty. You know, I'm so used to lining the entire upper rim, but I do think it looks youthful and nice. So there were a lot of tips in that I ended up loving. I'm kind of surprised that there were that many that I enjoyed because when I was taking these notes, I was like, how are these gonna work? Like, are these even gonna look right on me? I look very different than Candice. So I'm excited that they actually worked. I will link her original video if you haven't seen it down below, of course. I literally followed it like frame by frame. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope some of these tips were helpful or fun for you to learn about. Give them a try. Let me know which ones worked for you guys. But I hope you subscribe for more videos like this. If you do have a specific person's makeup tutorial, maybe it's a Vogue one, maybe it's something else, a celebrity that you've seen do their makeup on YouTube, let me know. Drop the link below or tell me what to search for because I would love to get your recommendations for ones you want to see me give a try. Other than that, I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.